Yes, guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson football channel for my Premier League predictions for the 25-26 season. I was going to do this video on more GBFC, but I thought for the first time in a few years, I'm sat here in the middle of August and I'm actually really excited for what is going to happen with my club, Chelsea, this season. So, of course, if you want to subscribe to more GBFC, I'm going to leave a link in the description. It's going to be a big season there. We ended last season really strong on more GBFC. It's been a bit quiet over the summer because we've been pretty occupied with winning World Cups and stuff like that. But when the season's locked in, we're going to be locked in on GBFC, going to be doing some FPL stuff, going to be doing predictions, reviews of matches and analysis over on that channel. But today, we are going to go from 20th all the way to first place in the Premier League. I've got an itchy nose, guys. I'm sunburnt from England. Imagine, man that don't live in England gets burnt in his own country. Unbelievable. But we begin with 20th place in the Premier League. Unfortunately, Leeds United, I don't think there's enough firepower for Leeds to stay in the Premier League. I think Stack from Hoffenheim is a really solid, good signing. I think Leeds will have moments in the season. But unfortunately, in the Premier League, as we put Burnley in 19th, it's getting harder and harder for the promoted sides to actually make their imprint into the Premier League. I think with Burnley, you can't underestimate how much of a loss it's going to be to lose Brownhill, who scored so many goals, was brilliant creator. James Trafford as well, going to Manchester City. Turns out he's going to Man City to sit on the bench. Whatever. But Burnley, I just don't see where the goals are going to come from there. I think for both Leeds and Burnley this season, they're just not going to score enough goals. And it's also the same scenario for Wolverhampton Wanderers. Mateus Cunha leaving Wolves is a massive loss. Not only for the sheer massive goals that he scores, but for the quality that he brings to this team. Vitor Pereira is a very good manager. I think signing Strand Larsen on a permanent, I think he's going to have a very good season. I think he'll get double-figure goals. But I just don't think there's enough quality in that Wolves team. Towards the end of last season, they went on a really good run. I think Agbadou is a fantastic centre-half. I watched a lot of him at the end of last year. But for Wolves, I don't think they've strengthened enough. This has been an incredibly busy transfer window for a lot of teams. And as we move ahead of Wolves, you're going to see a lot of teams that have just gone out there and seriously strengthened, which is why I think they might finish ahead of them. In 17th, I've gone with Brentford, a team that have been so consistent now in the Premier League for so long. They've lost Thomas Frank as their manager, who brought them into the Premier League, and they're also losing so many key players. Norgard and Mbeumo. Wissa might also be about to leave the club potentially this summer. I don't think you can underestimate the value of those assets, but also that manager. Thomas Frank has gone to Spurs. There's a lot of optimism in the Spurs camp right now that they finally got someone who can bring some balance to the team, play some good, exciting football like Spurs expect them to play, but they've also recruited really well. As for Brentford, I think they're going to do just about enough with the quality they existingly have in the squad to stay in the Premier League, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Moving into Sunderland. This is what I mean, guys. Sunderland have gone out there. They've spent over £150 million so far. Granit Xhaka is a brilliant signing. Habib Diarra from Strasbourg, Chelsea's sister club. That is a phenomenal piece of midfield recruitment for under £50 million. I think Sunderland have recruited very well. I think Enzo Lafay as well in that midfield. That's a 70 million midfield. That's a solid Premier League midfield that I think could do very, very well. They're back in the league. They're doubling down. They've spent a ton of money. They want to stay there. And I think Sunderland will. Moving into 15th, West Ham, Callum Wilson, Fulkrug. Are they going to stay fit throughout the course of the season? I think West Ham could be in serious trouble if they lose key players. Jared Bowen's obviously the main man there. If something was to happen to him, I just wonder with Graham Potter, I think, I don't know if it's just the Chelsea bias of he came to Chelsea, it wasn't very good. It was very unflattering. I don't know if there's going to be enough motivation within that squad to get any higher than a 15th place finish. Now, we're moving up now towards the mid-table. Crystal Palace. Palace, I think, I really like Oliver Glasner as a manager. And if you watch more GBFC, I made a lot of videos on Palace last season because I really like the way that they play. I think what they've managed to do is find a way to utilise those exciting attacking players whilst holding an incredibly resilient defensive structure. Unfortunately, I would have had Palace a lot higher, But they're about to lose Mark Gurhey, and they're about to lose Eze as well. Probably their best defender and their best attacker. Mateta's a fabulous striker. Glasner's an unbelievable manager. But I just don't think Palace are going to have enough to finish any higher than 14th. We move into Nottingham Forest. Nottingham Forest get slightly the better of Crystal Palace, which will probably be a nice feeling considering the tensions that are built between those two clubs this year. But with Nottingham Forest having European football, and I think last season was such an anomaly. How can you get Chris Wood to score that many goals and outperform his XG the way that he did last season for a second year in a row? Is he that good of a striker to do that 2 years in a row? They've lost Delanga. They've also bought players in. Keeping Murillo, I think, and Milinkovic at the back will be huge, but I think Forest will struggle with European football. Let's move now into 12th place, Fulham. Fulham this season have been pretty quiet right now in the transfer market, but I also think they have got a really good squad. And I think with their manager, I think they're not really losing too many key players right now. Saying that, today, Rodrigo Muniz, the striker, could well be leaving the club for an undisclosed fee as of right now. But I just think Fulham they're just going to keep being there. I think they can beat enough teams. I think on their day, they can beat the big boys too, which is very important. Got great results last season against some of the big teams, one at Chelsea as well. But I just think Fulham are going to be solid. Moving into Bournemouth. Always consistently growing are Bournemouth. Iraola, fantastic manager. And I think Bournemouth this year, they're going to be one of those teams that, again, can beat a lot of teams on their day. Petrovic, I think, is a very good signing. I really rate Petrovic. As a goalkeeper, I think he could have had a chance at Chelsea this season, to be quite honest. But Chelsea wanted to offload him. And I think he's a very good signing. You also cannot underestimate the importance of losing basically an entire defence this season. Zabani's gone to PSG for 54 mil. Kirkesh to Liverpool for 40 million. Dean Howson at the start of the window going to Real Madrid for 50 million. I still think Bournemouth have got business to do, but I'm saying 11th with the idea that they do bring in some more players, and I think they will. Moving into 10th, Newcastle. Newcastle have had the window from hell. Anyone that Newcastle have wanted, they've not signed, basically. And not only that, but they have currently got such a toxic saga unfolding with their main man, the £100 million plus striker, Alexander Isak. One of the best players in the world. And he doesn't want to play for the club anymore. They're in the Champions League. They've missed out on so many targets. Trafford, Mbeumo. I think they wanted Cunha at one point, but that was an early signing for Manchester United. I might be wrong with that. But Newcastle, they're in the Champions League and they don't have a Champions League squad. If you've got Sean Longstaff being an option to start games in midfield, I think you've got a problem there. I really do. I think obviously some of the top players are their midfielders. They've got Sandro Tonali, who I think is absolutely sensational. Bruno Guimaraes as well, sensational footballer. But I think Newcastle are going to seriously struggle. You can't replace Isak. Even if you buy Nicholas Jackson, I don't think you get that level. I think Jackson would do really well at Newcastle. But I think the club this year have really struggled. And I think they're going to feel that with Champions League football this year. But I'm putting them in 10th in the league. 9th place, I've got Everton. What a massive season this could be for Everton. Brand new stadium. Iliman Ndiaye, I think, is a really exciting footballer. They bought Jack Grealish in on loan with an option to buy from Man City. Chicken and Dewsbury Hall as well. I think some of the business that Everton have done is incredibly smart. And I think this season, Everton finally, they're recruiting. And I think they are going to see the fruits of that. I think Tierno Barry from Villarreal can also be an exciting signing. I think Adam Asnu from Bayern Munich at 10 million. Really good deal for Everton. And with David Moyes there, you're going to get stability. You know what you're going to get. And I think that new stadium is actually going to work out. I think it's not going to be the same as West Ham. 9th for Everton. Great progress. And I think they will continue to evolve. 8th place, I've got Brighton. So the top 7 is back to being a traditional top 7 here. Brighton, the squad is absolutely massive. I think there's still going to be a lot of outgoings at Brighton this summer. I think they've made some smart business as well. And with Brighton at this point in time, I don't think I can not rate them anymore. Do you know what I mean? Every year I look at Brighton, I'm like, is this going to be the year? Same with Brentford. I think this might be the year Brentford fall down. But I don't see that happening with Brighton. And I think 8th will be a decent finish again. But they'll be looking to go higher. Let's move now into Tottenham Hotspur. In 7th, I mean, look, this is a huge, huge glow up, really, isn't it? 10 places higher than what they finished last year. Under Ange, the Premier League was an absolute disaster for Spurs, and I was obviously delighted for it. Give me more of it, I say. Every bloody week of the year, I want to see Spurs lose football matches. But Thomas Frank's a really good manager, really good signing for the football club, I think, as a whole. They're currently looking at both Savinho and Eberici Eze. And I think Spurs, now that they are not going to be so erratic in the defensive third and in transition, I think they're going to improve massively. I think now that they've lost Heung-min Son, that's obviously going to be a big dressing room hole that they probably won't be able to fill necessarily in terms of that leadership that he brings to the team. But I think Spurs are going to do okay. Moving into Manchester United, again, to go from 16th in the league to 6th in the Premier League, it's another 10-place rise. And Man United this year, right, I still think that the defence is very shaky. I think injuries in that back line, and they're going to concede a lot of goals still. But I think they've just added so much quality in the final third that they can't not improve, surely. I mean, they bought Benjamin Sesko, Mateus Cunha, and Brian Mbeumo. These guys all just score goals, you know what I mean? And it's not even like they've just got numbers and they're throwing spaghetti at the wall here. There's actually a plan behind this. I think Sesko is a great striker within a Ruben Amorim system. I think you've got willing runners that can go beyond him in the likes of Cunha and Buemo. Dorgu, I think, is going to have a big season in the left wing-back position. I think Ahmad will be on that right side, getting forward, coming back. And I think we're actually going to see an evolution within that Ruben Amorim team and system this year. I think it's finally going to click, but not enough to get back into the top 4. But if I was a Man United fan right now, I'd look at 6th and I'd be like, we'll take that after the catastrophe that was last season. So, the top 4, missing out, Aston Villa. Aston Villa, I think, are going to be once again very strong, and the manager is a huge part to play in this. I think Evan Gesand could potentially be an absolute masterstroke signing up front. I think we could still see Ollie Watkins leave. Obviously, there's been big talk this summer about Morgan Rogers. Chelsea wanted him. Other top clubs wanted him. Aston Villa are keeping hold of him. They've got issues when it comes to the finances. And I think one thing for Aston Villa, they've obviously bought in a new keeper, but Martinez is also a big player that they still might lose this summer. And they've lost a lot of players, even though a lot of them were obviously surplus to requirements. They've either been released, they've either been loaned out, and they're obviously squad players that they're getting rid of. But I think Aston Villa will still have more than enough in their team to finish above United and Spurs. So, the Premier League top 4. This is where this gets exciting. If you're not yet subscribed to GBFC, make sure you do so and smash that like button. But before we go into the top 4, I just want to remind you guys, if you do want to buy anything from the Chelsea Megastore online this summer, use the QR code on the screen, link in the description, and GBFC10 is your discount code. We move into 4th, Arsenal. This is such a ridiculously competitive, on paper, top 4 race this season. Arsenal have solved their problem. Victor Gyökeres is a goal scorer. I know a lot of people are going to want to see him fail more than anyone because it's a huge signing for Arsenal. And I can't help but think that they've been so close for so many years, and that could just be the difference maker. Martin Zubimendi as well. I've watched a bit of him in pre-season. He looks like a fantastic player. Norgard is brilliant backup in the midfield. Mosquera looks like a tidy centre-half too. Noni Madueke as well. Still think Arsenal might need another attacking signing. But I think they're going to finish 4th. And that is no disrespect to Arsenal, to be quite honest. And I know Arsenal fans will hate that because that's clearly a downgrade. And yeah, that could be the end of Arteta. 3rd, I've got Manchester City. Manchester City, I think, are going to finish 3rd. I think they're going to have, again, a good season. I think all of the top 4 are going to be so close. And this year, more so than any other season, the matches between the big teams are going to feel like finals. I think a lot of them could be cagey. Maybe they're not. Maybe the team that really goes for it are going to be the bold ones that will get the most wins, and that might lead them to win the league. I think Rayan Cherki, as much as obviously Chelsea got the headlines in the summer for winning the Club World Cup, he looked like a serious player for them. I think Reinders is also going to be a solid signing. Rodri obviously out for the start of the season. Ain't Nori, I think, is brilliant business. I think all in all, even though Man City got a lot of their business done early, I think they're going to I think they're going to be stronger this year. I don't think they're going to go through that massive lull that they went through last season, which obviously impacted them being in a title race. I think they'll be there. I think they'll be close, but I think they're going to finish third. So it's now Liverpool and Chelsea. Who do I actually think is going to win the league? And I'm not going to put them up on the screen yet. I'm just going to, because we're a Chelsea channel, obviously. I am so confident, and I'm so confident in Chelsea because being at the Club World Cup and actually being there to feel the energy from game one all the way through to the end and seeing us win that and the way that we won it more than anything else was so emphatic. And Maresca was so intelligent with the way that he picked the squad. And now that we're strengthening and we're seeing those players come in and just like fit in that position like a glove. And you've got to remember with Maresca, it's not just a position. It's about the rotations. It's about when I go there, where do you go? When you go there, where do I go? And the players are learning this at an alarming speed. Chelsea's winning run right now is absolutely sensational. And I think something that I've not really spoken too much about throughout this video, because I wanted to really save it for this, Chelsea's start to the season is really friendly. And I know that we still might have that hangover feeling of not being fit enough from the Club World Cup, but the first 4 games are in London, which is going to massively help us. And the first real test is against Liverpool on the 4th of October. Now, my question is, do I think Chelsea are ready? And the answer to that is yes. I do think we're ready. I think we are good enough to challenge for the Premier League this season. But do I think we're going to win it? The answer is unfortunately not. I think we're going to come so close, but I think Liverpool are going to have enough. And I think I would have said Chelsea if Liverpool hadn't gone so ridiculously aggressive in the market. Ekitike for 80 million. Isak probably going to come in for 120. Frimpong, Wirtz for 116 million. Kirkesh. This is a generational window from Liverpool. There's no denying it. It's a sensational window. If they sign 2 players over 100 million quid, Florian Wirtz is world class. He really is. And Alexander Isak, in my opinion, is the best all-round striker in world football. If Isak goes to Liverpool, I think they win it. If Isak doesn't go to Liverpool, I don't know if they can trust Hugo Ekitike enough. In which case, this could actually be Chelsea at the top. But it could also be City at the top. Could also be Arsenal at the top. And when I do this, right, I know obviously people are just going to look at the final positions, which, yes, that is what football's all about. It's about winning and it's about the final positions. This is huge growth for Chelsea. But I genuinely think it could be that close that there could be about 6 points between those top 4. I think it's going to be so flipping close this season. But I do think Chelsea will finish second. Let me know your predictions for the Premier League in the comments down below. Obviously, there's a lot that can happen here. The Premier League, the transfer window, there is still 20-odd days, 18 days to go or something. So I'm going to do an updated Premier League predictions video at the end of the transfer window on more GBFC. So make sure you subscribe to that channel. I'm going to leave the link today at the top of the description. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know your predictions in the comments. Come on, you Blues. Let's win it.